Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're going to bring a...
Mr. Adams can pour you some.
One of the family. I've heard that line before. That's why I asked you to come with us.
Subi, where you going? Okay, coming back. That's my wife.
Oh, okay.
That's fine. Who doesn't have champagne and wants it?
Don't have very much to replace them.
Welcome everybody. Welcome to the Newth Morris Clubhouse christening and ribbon cutting. Thanks for being here. We have a lot of people to thank today. I'm almost guaranteed to forget someone. And for context, when the idea for this ceremony came about, the task was to find someone to thank everybody who had nothing to do with the actual work. And that ended up being me. So again, this is on me if I forget everybody, but there are a couple of really big giants of this event that need to be recognized, including Newth and the entire Morris family who's here. So my talk here, which is going to be very short and lead to a toast, is going to start and end with Newth Morris. So first of all, thank you so much to the whole Morris family for showing up and for your support, financial support and moral support with getting this done, and for giving us Newth. And they came from Spain, from LA, from Florida, from all over. My understanding is that there's about 17 of them crowded in the house up here on Springdale.
We need to keep it down a little bit.
So thanks, guys. This event and the luncheon, we need to thank Knox Flint Evie Turner and Main and Market, of course the McMurrays and Megan Street for organizing and providing for us, including the champagne. Here. Next, I have to talk about the Three Musketeers. Hey, Sarah Jameson, I left my important items sitting over there before I started shooting my mouth. I need three important items. For each of the Three Musketeers, who in addition to Newth really provided the overarching momentum and impetus to make this all happen in execution. So in order, in no particular order, the first guy is someone who was down here all day, every day, when there was a work party or anything else to be done. He is a guy who would always show up with beer to the work party. My understanding is he didn't necessarily have beer for anyone else, but he had beer. And he also often had to be called to get out of bed for a work day. And does that sound about right? His alarm clock wasn't working. This is someone, and I say this as a compliment, this is not an insult. One of the Anne Arundel County building inspectors said about this person, he's a real jerk. And he used a word other than jerk. So, which, I mean, God bless this person, whoever it is, for riding herd on the county, because God knows it wouldn't have happened if he didn't do that. And finally, my understanding is, though he was very well equipped, mostly with DeWalt power tools, compliments of Adam, he didn't necessarily have, and he used them well. One thing that was missing was having a level eye. So when this person hung paintings or anything, they were always a little cattywampus. So for Jeff Johnson, we have got a Johnson, you can't make this stuff up, a Johnson level. Don't drink yet, although I'm not watching, but cheers to Jeff, and thank you. Here. The next guy, I won't keep it secret, Roy Higgs. Allegedly, the entire idea, the seed of this and the idea, others tell me, really originated with Roy when we had the awful old shed here. And Roy's notion was, look, if we're going to tear that thing down, let's build it back just a little bit better than how we took it down. And it is amazingly 10 times better. Jeff circulated a cartoon, or he gave me a cartoon that these guys looked at a lot when they were down here. So it sort of has like the many views of the planning for a building. And it was very appropriate here. You may remember that there were 20 versions of this thing, right? The first one was as originally conceived. The second was as the community sort of buys into it. The third, as the builder thinks he can build it, as the county approves, et cetera, et cetera. And behind all those iterations was Roy Higgs making sure that it got done and that we actually could have something that was buildable and permittable and affordable and everything else. So here's to Roy.
Yeah, here's to Roy.
And since he, oh my God, these have been, Jeff.
I was thirsty.
I brought these for Roy and Mike because, Jeff wouldn't. So, and the third of the Three Musketeers is, of course, Mike Adams, our builder, our execution guy, the guy who is also down here all the time, all day, every day when it needed to be done. The only, and to me, having lived near Mike, 2 houses down from Mike and Sue for a number of years, Mike is the kind of guy, if he were in wartime, his commander would say, go take that hill, and Mike would go take the hill. Yeah. That's the guy he is. Just, I'm not going to ask questions, I'm not going to make it complicated, I'm going to go take the hill. His only complaint is that supposedly he's owed a steel, right? I don't know what this is about, but supposedly Roy has been promising Mike a cleat for somewhere in here for a long time. So here to Mike Adams and Sue for tolerating him, and here's your cleat. If those guys were the generals on the horses, a lot of the work, of course, came from a lot more people, a lot of the soldiers. Too many to name here, but I'm going to try, and again, forgive me if I forget you. Chris Yearwood and Steve Bennett for all the woodworking, Ed Street for painting, Mike Schmidt demoed the old storage area, Rich Snyder and Mike Jordan, security and a ton of other things, so doing the electronics and the Wi-Fi and the cameras. Ed now, of course, has taken that over. Jim Ostry, Neil Schwartz, DJ, of course, general all-around utility players. Drew Larkin, who I think is also here, fundraising and finances and keeping this whole thing moving forward from an operational and financial point of view. Carrie, whose name I can't remember, moved into Riggs Ave, a few houses down from us, has a Portuguese water dog named Yoshi. I can't remember her last name, is an architect who helped Roy. Someone can tell me her last name later, but she's been very helpful with some decorating decisions in tile and a bunch of other things also, and contributed. And everybody else who was down here working and driving nails and painting and everything else. I'm sorry I wasn't there. So the entire community. And then now let's circle back to Newth. Of course, it is the Newth Morris Clubhouse. So Newth's footprints or handprints are all over this community. I think of the B&A Trail, which I use almost every day, the community center, which he improved and got up and running and operational, and of course now this and our community in general. And I think maybe others will correct me later, but when I think of Newth's contribution, he was the sort of visionary that articulated what this could be, took the idea, and just put it into all of our heads as a community and made us believe that this could happen. It was the right thing to do. And so totally, I think, appropriate that it would be named after Newth, the Newth Morris Clubhouse. You'll see as you go in the door to the left, there's a mock-up of what will be a bronze plaque with Newth's picture, the We Can Do It slogan, and DJ Guile spearheaded that whole effort to get that done. So here to the DJ. So I think that's all I have to say. I know Roy and Jeff have a couple words before we actually cut the ribbon. But I do want to take this moment to raise a toast to Newth, to the Three Musketeers, and to everybody here and in the community who got this done. Cheers. Cheers. Thank you.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we did.
I'm going to start off with an audio-visual presentation.
Oh, jeez. Come on. I have dinner at 5.
When Newth and I first looked at this, there was a great discussion about just rebuilding the shed. And I said, no, we can do better than that. It's a chance in our lifetime. And so I suggested, this was the first sketch. I called it the OSPIA Yacht Club. They thought it was a bit overdone. But this was done in 2012. This is when it all started from here, this actual sketch. Okay? And in the interim, there were a lot of changes. Many of you saw at the general meetings and so on and so forth. And there are also a lot of versions that you didn't see. One version, we got to a point with the approvals was getting so impossible to get anyone saying yes. I looked at, let's redo the shed behind the pavilion. Let's build just a simple clubhouse over there. We have a lot of land over there. So let's do that. No, we can't do that because wetlands and critical areas, all those rules and regs. But anyway, it was an idea. And then another view was, I thought, well, because this is a leading edge kind of project and we're a leading edge kind of community, why don't we do a green roof? So I did this drawing, so we could have a green roof and we'd really be way ahead of the crowd with this. That didn't fly very far, did it? So,
Someday.
we have a green roof. Last but not least, one of my guys who worked with me on this very closely put this sketch together, showing all the iterations that Brian has mentioned, what FEMA wanted, what the county wanted, what you thought you wanted, what you're going to get, what the actors can come after us for when they see it finished, and it really summed up, frankly, the whole process, which took 10 years. 10 years, unbelievable. But it was worth it in the end, I think. Thanks for your support. Appreciate it. Here's on to the next one. We need something else to do, guys.
Now, what do we got? Thanks, Roy.
So no one said I had to speak on this, but I have some notes. You know, I'm a numbers guy, so I'm going to throw some numbers at you guys. All right. You know, so you know, the first thing is I had Mike Jordan check the gate reader, and Mike Adams and I entered the gate 1,325 times in the past 7 months during the building process. I think I won by a couple. I'm not sure. So I just wanted to kind of give you a couple numbers. It took 3.5 years for us to build this thing. And everyone's like, when the hell is this thing going to be done, right? But our timing was terrible. We started the process just as Anne Arundel County had a new county executive in Stuart Pittman, and he brought in all his new people, and they changed the permit and inspection process, and we had to wade through that and introduce ourselves to new people, and et cetera, et cetera. And just as we got approval in July of 2019 and started the getting the community approval, COVID hit. And then we had to go through everyone hiding in their house and not answering phone calls, and getting inspectors to come and tell us what we needed to do. So 3.5 years is a long time. I apologize that it took so long, but our timing was terrible because of all those things. But here it is, right? Along the way, as Roy said, I counted how many of these darn things I have stuck under my bed because I don't know what to do with them. I have 33 of these. They're all different. So, Roy, you can have them back if you want those, right? One of the biggest things was that we are between the 100-foot tidal line, which literally is where you're all standing, and the wetlands. So, this two-story building that was the dream of Newth and Roy 10 years ago had to be scaled down a little bit. To the point where, if you guys notice, if you walk around the back, there's a corner cut off this building. It's cut off because we couldn't make that corner because this is the only space that this building could fit in. There, we maximized every square inch. Oh, look at this guy on this thing. That is so cool.
He's a new member and he sells them.
Okay, cool. I'll take two. So literally, the back corner over here is cut off because this is the only size that this building could be, and we worked our tails off to fit it in and get approval and maximize it. This building is 1,354 square feet, including the deck. It has 26 concrete pilings underneath it. They're all 8 feet deep. We had to go that deep because we're in a wet area. So concrete that was poured 8 feet deep and water was spewing everywhere, but it's not going anywhere. This thing, there's over 2,000 concrete blocks that were used to build this building. So it is flood proof. And when I say flood proof, the county has told us that we are the only structure that has ever been approved for building below flood line. Flood line is, there's a line on one of these markers, but flood line is basically here. And they wanted us to start the building from here up. And I say, that ain't gonna happen. That ain't gonna happen. And so we researched, we pleaded, we begged, Originally, we were going to do doors that were flood-proof, and those were $85,000, I think, for these 4 doors. I said, that's not going to happen. So we are the first building in Anne Arundel County that has ever been approved for building under the flood line. And the way that we did that was that I found a small little company that sells what are called flood barriers, and they're in the storage room. You guys should take a look at them. That in the case of flood, we put them across these doors. You see all these screw holes. They just go in. They kind of suck in, and so when we're going to have a flood, I'm calling John. I'm calling Ted. I'm calling for you guys, Ed, to come put these in. But because we were the only building that was approved below flood line, the county didn't know what to do with us. They had no idea. They kept passing the buck. They kept saying, "Well, talk to John. John, talk to Fred." And Fred, so literally, my second career is going to be teaching Anne Arundel County how to build buildings below flood lines, because I taught them how to do this.
Is that why you're a jerk?
With these, right? What's that?
Is that why you're a jerk?
Yeah, that's why indeed. And it was not jerk that he called me. Let's see, just a couple other things. Numbers, thank you. Everyone loves the clubhouse, but really what everyone loves are the bathrooms, right? Right?
Somebody in there.
Oops, sorry. So part of the process when we built this thing and we were below the flood line, they said, okay, good, you can build it, but the toilets need to be above the flood line. So the toilets had to be here up. Talk about a throne, right? That is the classic throne, right? So that took a while for me to convince them that what are we going to do, have a ladder up to the toilets? I mean, they literally wanted us to build the toilets that high. One of the other benefits is when we were building this thing, we were able to get rid of all the BGE power lines along the shoreline, right? Yay. So, they're all buried now. We don't have to look at the ugly power lines. There is still one left that we will get rid of, but other than that, they are all gone. So, just a few numbers that kind of behind the scenes that you guys maybe not have known about. But I just want to end again with the paying tribute to Newth and the Morris family. It's fitting. Yesterday was Newth's birthday, right? Happy birthday, Newth, right? And 4 years ago at his memorial, I was asked to talk at the memorial, and I referenced a song by Irving Berlin, a classic American composer. The song is, the title of the song is "The Song Has Ended, but the Melody Lingers On." This is his song. Cheers.
Thank you, Jeff.
One last thing.
No.
One last thing.
No.
22 years ago when we built the pavilion, Newth was an integral part of that, and his only request was, we need a hook and a plug to do the disco ball.
Yeah.
In that, right? And everyone said, whatever. And he would not let us stop until we put in, and so there is a hook and there is a outlet in the ceiling for that. 22 years later, I found that disco ball, and it's hanging in there right now. Right? So, cheers to Newth. Right.
Yay, DJ. DJ found this.
So, okay, perfect. So, at this point, what we'd love to do is do the ribbon cutting. We'd like to have Newth's kids come up, if you would. Ed, Newth, Andrea. Up to this side? Yeah, why don't you come up this side? Andrea, can you get it? All right, so, and we have a photographer on site. Yeah, there we go. So, look in the camera, right? So, here is to the grand opening of the Newth Morris Memorial OSPIA Clubhouse.
I grabbed one moment. Brian did an awesome job. There's one guy, and he's missed a lot because he deliberately lives silently in the shadows, but Ron Skidmore was a huge contributor to making this happen, and he won't ever ask for the accolades that he deserves. So thank you. Here's a Ron. Thank you all.
All right, enjoy, guys. I hope everyone can hang around and they'll enjoy everyone's company.
Back skill. Yeah, I'm on back skill.